Brace yourself for the ultimate test, the ABSA Off-Road Championship, and fast track through the race with vehicle and asset finance from ABSA.
Deep in the African bush, the Sun City complex is a world-renowned leisure and pleasure resort. The slogan, "A million thrills, one destination," says it all for a jewel in the African crown. The complex also houses the incredible Lost City, and once a year, Sun City hosts a round of the ABSA Off-Road Championship. The Sun City 400 is a blue-chip event on the off-road calendar, and for 2 years in a row has been voted Event of the Year.
With a record entry this year of 110 vehicles in national and regional championship categories, the documentation office was a hive of activity as crews went through pre-event formalities. There were also last-minute preparations as crews made ready for the Friday prologue to determine start positions for the race proper the following day. An off-road paddock would not be the same without the last-minute panic attacks prevalent at every race.
Leading the Production Vehicle Championship were Nissan crew Duncan Foss and Ralph Pitchford.
We've done well so far this year. Tactical-wise, we're going to keep to the same strategy. It's basically always to try and win the time trial, which is really important, and then just keep it together and make sure we have no problems during the race. So we can't afford to make any mistakes between now and the end of the year. You know, we're halfway through the season and it's still a long way to go.
The factory Castrol Toyota crew of Anthony Taylor and Robin Houghton had led events this season, but were desperate for a win that was proving elusive.
Coming here yesterday, I saw the felt was burnt quite a lot in certain sections, which does make it a lot easier, so you can at least see those lurkers. However, the section down here, I see the grass is still growing. I think the key secret here is just to stay on the road, and the Toyota does that very, very well, so I think we're going to be in for a good shot.
Ford's 2 new diesel twin-turbo Ford Rangers are still in the development stage, but team leader Neil Woolridge was also looking on the bright side.
Sun City is a very tough event. It's a great event. It's been a good stamping ground for us in the past, and we're really looking forward to it. And whenever I do this race, I always think, geez, this is the place we've got to come back to do testing, because it really is a test of man and machine that really tests the suspension to the maximum. The ground is unforgiving here. There's stumps and rocks all over the place, so it's a tough event.
Following an impressive third place overall on the Toyota 1000 Desert Race, young Christian Deploy was looking forward to another good result.
Yeah, we didn't think our aim was to get a top 10 finish at the Desert Race, and we did a top 3, so we're ecstatic about that. We're just hoping to keep it under the top 10 for the championship.
And now another tough event this weekend.
Yeah, it looks a bit we tested on, it looks rough and rutted, so we'll just keep it go easy and see if we can get to the finish.
An interesting SP class development at Sun City was Louis Weichelt's debut as a driver in one of the ex-factory Ford Rangers, previously run in Unifreight colours by Kobus van Tonda and Rian Guapa.
Yeah, I've done a lot of regionals, which was my dad's old bakkie and our new bakkie, and I've done very well in the regionals, so that's what made me do this in the SP class.
It's going to be a bit of a learning curve for you.
Yeah, for sure. It's something totally different to what we used to, so we're going to take it as it comes, and then I'm going to just try and finish this race.
Back in action at the Sun City 400 for the first time this season were reigning Class D champions Henry and Maurice Zermatten.
The plan is to come back for the rest of the season. I think we've given ourselves a bad enough disadvantage by skipping the first 4 expensive races, and now the rest of them are close by and we've got a bit of time, then we'll tackle them. Cliff might be a bit of a problem. I think he's won 3 on the trot and then 1 non-finish, so he's done his drop race for the year. But with 3 wins, you know, it's going to be quite a trick to catch him.
Nissan crew Duncan Foss and Ralph Pitchford held a comfortable lead in the production vehicle category. Class E leaders Picky Labuschagne and Rikus Erasmus and Class D leaders Cliff and Louis Weichelt also featured in the top 10.
One of the rituals at the end of the driver's briefing is a draw for prologue start positions, with the top 5-seater crews going into the hat.
Number 1. Duncan. There you are, number 2. Okay, go on.
The pre-event prologue to determine start positions is a race within a race and often produces setbacks for more fancy teams. Dust and traffic in a combined field of production and special vehicle entries make a good start position an imperative, and there is no holding back on the prologues. The downside is that a poor prologue can seriously affect your race the next day. The Sun City 400 prologue was run over a 70-kilometer route that would provide crews with a pretty good idea of what they could expect the very next day.
Championship leaders Duncan Foss and Rolf Pitchford reported a clean run, but were a disappointing 7th, and Toyota Service were given something to shout about when Castrol Toyota pair Anthony Taylor and Robin Houghton posted the fastest time. The Toyota crew were 47 seconds faster than former SA champion Hannes Grobler and Joan Moore in one of 3 Donaldson Nissan Navara factory entries.
The prologue route was a tough one and crews were being made to work hard for their times.
There was more cause for celebration in the Toyota camp when Hein Lateghan and Chris Birkin came up with the 3rd fastest time in the 2nd factory Castrol Toyota Hilux. Former South African champions Neil Woolridge and Kenny Schultheimer looked impressive on their way to 4th in the twin-turbo diesel Ford Ranger. And the father and son pairing of Hicho and Jaap de Bruin were as aggressive as ever in the Michelin XL Toyota Hilux. Behind them, the husband and wife pair of George and Sharon Barkhuizen also produced a good run in the AIM Toyota Hilux to finish 7th.
The 9th fastest time went to Gary Bertelt and Andre Vermeulen in the Atlas Copco Toyota Hilux, who are in their 1st season of racing in the SP class. The pair are refugees from the special vehicle category, but have quickly settled into the new vehicle. Chasing after the Atlas Copco were Norwegian Ivar Tollefsen and Briton Quinn Evans in the 3rd of the Donaldson Nissan Navaras.
Tollefsen and Evans are now in their 3rd season in the ABSA series and went into the Sun City race lying 2nd in the championship. The pair finished 4th on this year's Dakar Rally, but lost time on the prologue when they ran into problems deciding which tracks to follow on sections of the route that were not clearly marked. Tollefsen and Evans were also hoping to preserve a 100% finish record this season.
After a solid result on the Toyota 1000 Desert Race, the RFS Toyota Hilux pair of Chris Visser and Japie Badenhorst were looking to consolidate 3rd in the championship. They decided on a no-risk policy for the prologue, but Kobus van Tonde and Rian Kwapa and the Unifreight Ford Ranger were having none of that and were pushing hard. Behind the Harrison-based pair, the factory Ford team of Thomas Rundle and Stavros Giannakis also lost time with a couple of wrong slots.
Thomas Rundle is another talented young driver in his 1st season in the SP class. There was an encouraging start to his SP career when he was 2nd on the Eastern Cape 400 early in the season. Following on that success, a brace of non-finishers hampered his progress leading up to Sun City.
There was an impressive prologue performance from track and kart star Leroy Poulter and Rob Howie, who blitzed the opposition in Class E in the Ferodo Nissan Hardbody. Poulter and Howie were nearly 3 minutes quicker than the next Class E car, but in Class D, Cliff Weichelt and Johan Smallberger were fastest by just 2 seconds.
Cliff Weichelt and Johan Smallberger in the N1 4x4 Toyota Hilux D4D just held off reigning Class D champions Henry and Maurice Zamatin in the Manrepco Nissan Hardbody. Also in the Class E mix were the highly experienced and consistent reigning champions Jannie Visser and Jorgs Leroux in the RFS Toyota Hilux, and joint championship leaders Picky Labuskaghni and Rikus Erasmus in the 4x4 Mega World Toyota Hilux.
The mood in the Toyota camp after the prologue was buoyant, with the team feeling they were starting to enjoy the fruits of an extensive testing program.
I believe we can, we've spent a lot of time testing, and we've worked a lot on the shock absorbers, which we think was our weak point. And whatever, the shock technicians have come up with seems to be working.
With the SP class now highly competitive, former champion Hannes Grobler was looking forward to some tough racing.
Yeah, it's very good for the sport that the Toyotas and the Fords are now a lot closer to us. And I think it'll pull more spectators to the off-roads, and we're very happy that they're there and that they're so competitive. It makes it nice for us as well.
New race vehicles are notoriously fickle pieces of machinery. The new twin-turbo diesel Ford Rangers have run into teething problems, but the mood in the Ford camp was also upbeat.
So you're asking me, you must actually ask the driver because he's the one that doesn't listen. Yeah, no, it's unbelievable. The car's great. And the guys have made huge steps forward. The car's really, really improved. And we're looking forward to, from now on, just really fine-tuning it and getting some good results this year now.
Circuit star Leroy Poulter is in his first off-road season and looking to follow in the footsteps of Janelle de Villiers and current teammate Duncan Foss.
You know, this type of, maybe this terrain or this prologue was very fast and very flowing. And maybe I mean, the track racing does play a big role in it to keep the speeds up. And you know, there's a lot of fast section, a lot of fast corners, and I definitely it plays a big role.
The top 10 on the prologue was separated by just over 3 minutes. There were 3 Toyotas in the top 5 and an encouraging result for Neil Woolridge and Kenny Schulthammer in the Ford Ranger TDCI.
Going into the Sun City 400, only 2 teams had won races this season in the special vehicle category. The Class B and Class P championships were more open, with everyone looking forward to a tough race.
With 3 wins already under their belts, the Motorrad Revo 1 pair of Evan Hutchison and Achim Bergman had a tight hold on the championship.
Well, the overriding game plan obviously is to still concentrate on the championship. So yeah, go out there and have a good solid run, cautious run. We haven't won Sun City in Class A yet. You know, we've been close, and last year we were leading it when we crashed. So yeah, I wouldn't mind taking home a victory, but it's you know, our priority is the championship.
The father and son team of Nick and Ryan Harper were lying second in the championship in the Atlas Copco Bat. A measured approach to the race without too many risks was their plan for the weekend.
Look, we know this route. We've raced here successfully before, so we're just going to go confidently fast as we can and keep it clean and see where we are at the end. You know?
The first Sun City 400 was held in 1987, and the winner of that race is still competing. Over more than 25 years, veteran racer Bodo Bertel has been part of the changing face of off-road racing.
It's just that the quality of the cars has improved so much. The suspension's gotten so much better, and so has the whole motor car. So the event's gotten faster and faster. That's the main change.
Bodo Berthold now races an Atlas Copco Bat in Class P with Philip Hurselman, and the competitive urge is as strong as ever.
We love this place. The organisation is fantastic. The route's very demanding, very good for us. And the competition's always very good here because everybody comes so close to home. We have more interest here than any other race. So we love that.
With a lead of nearly 40 points, Hutchison and Bergman were sitting pretty in the special vehicle category. 2 Class B crews and a Class B team also featured in the top 10.
The 5 top-seeded special vehicle crews also draw for prologue start positions after the driver's briefing. Championship leaders Evan Hutchinson and Achim Bergman struck an early blow when they drew the #1 slot.
Number 1.
The same prologue principles apply to the special vehicle brigade as to the production vehicle runners. The higher up the field you start, the better it is to avoid the dust problem and overtaking fellow competitors who are not always willing to let you go past. The Century Racing pair of Colin Matthews and Alan Smith have earned a reputation as prologue specialists, but it soon became evident that something was amiss.
Matthews and Smith have set some blistering times on recent prologues and set the pace on the Toyota 1000 Desert Race, only to fall out soon after the start. When they pulled off to the side of the track, it was obvious that all was not well with the pair. Further inspection identified an engine problem that could not be repaired, and Matthews and Smith were again consigned to an early role as spectators for the rest of the event.
The fastest time went to former champion Shamir Varayawa and Siegfried Rousseau in the total porter, with the Toyota Desert Race winners looking for their second win in a row and their second successive Sun City 400 win. They were followed by reigning SA champions Karl-Heinz Sulwalt and Son Quinton in the Sulwalt Racing Bat. There was also an encouraging run for Mark Corbett and Rudy Balzar in the 4x4 Century Racing CR1, with the pair only 20 seconds behind the Sulwalts in 3rd place. Nick and Ryan Harper had a clean run into 4th in the Atlas Copco Bat and were followed by Jan Kraai and Tilo Vogt, who set the pace in Class P in the Keymax bat.
There was also a clean run from the steady Naeem Mosaji and Mohammed Mulston in the Tyre Rack Jimco. The Limpopo-based crew were aiming to maintain a 100% record and were being chased by veteran Ernest Corbett and Warwick Goosen in the futuristic-looking Century Racing CR2 that was second in Class P. Also going well in Class P were John Weir-Smith and Richard Carolyn in the Men's Health Zarco, with the pair holding off rookies Johan van Staden and James Rousseau, who've been impressive this season.
Van Staden and Rousseau are in their first season of national off-road racing, and a little overshoot was to cost them a few seconds. There were also little delays for overall championship leaders Evan Hutchison and Achim Bergman. The Motorrad team also picked up a puncture, which saw them drop down to a disappointing 10th.
There was a bit of an upset in Class B when the Century Racing crew of Simon Beckett and Tim Curtis upstaged Toyota Desert Race winners Derek Totoy and Ian Pienaar in the Orange Tree bat. A herd of cattle held up Totoy and Pienaar for a few seconds, with the Cape crew also battling with a front brake problem.
After having successfully cleared the cattle, Totoy and Pienaar also lost a few seconds and finally finished up nearly a minute behind Beckett and Curtis. There was to be no joy for another Cape crew in Bez Besaidnout and Son Dion in the Adenko bat, also running in Class B. An electrical problem that has plagued them all season long cropped up again and meant an early trip home to Cape Town.
After winning last year's Toyota 1000 Desert Race, former South African champion Shamir Variawa and Siegfried Rousseau went on to win the Sun City and Limpopo 400s and mount a strong mid-season championship challenge.
Well, you know, I think the whole year we've been having slight problems in the prologues. That's why we've been a bit down, but today it was a clean run, no problems with the car. That's why we set a good pace, and I like the terrain as well. I like Botswana, I like Sun City. But being an old car, it's 6 years old now, I think we've kept up with the development, you know. We just put a lot of time, a lot of effort, upgraded all the time. So it seems to be keeping up with the guys, and I think maybe next year it's a call for a new chariot, so we'll see.
First amongst the special vehicles was an early psychological shot in the arm for Shamir Variawa and Siegfried Rousseau, and down in 10th, Hutchison and Bergman had some work to do.